Today we'll talk about establishing a cloud analytics platform. And the title I wanted to have, but it was too long, was Setting Up an IT Service DevOps Team for a Cloud Analytics Platform in the World of Digitalization. But they made me shorten it. I will introduce myself a little bit. I will talk about the core use case at Tetra Pak, the reason behind why we established the cloud analytics platform, a little bit more about the context in which the platform exists, how we work, our modus operandi, some observations I have made along the way, and then to make sure it's not too depressing, we'll finish off with some highlights of what we have achieved. Through the presentation here, you'll notice that I will stay on a fairly high level in interest of time to be able to give you the context and the understanding of what we are doing at Tetra Pak and how the platform fits in, and then a little bit about how we work. But if you are curious about more details around what we do, there is an excellent opportunity when you're having pizza, because I actually have 3 people from my team here. So Lotta, Jelena, and Claes. So do talk to them during the pizza then, and they can give you all about the details, because they are the ones achieving it, doing the actual work, making sure we have the platform up and running. So you get the context here. If you want details, take the opportunity to talk to the guys on the team. All right. So my name is Olof Eilert, born and raised at Tetra Pak, as many of us are. I actually started straight after university. I joined Tetra Pak and stayed ever since. Mainly doing project management. I've been in the sphere of SAP systems, but also in the other end of projects building .NET from scratch, and also on the infrastructure side. One benefit of being at Tetra Pak is you can try out a lot of different things within the different areas of the business. I'm also an Agile ambassador within the IT function of Tetra Pak. And my current role then is as Service Delivery Manager within Global Information Management. And Global Information Management is our internal IT company. So we have centralized all IT staff in one internal company. We're present in Lund, in Dallas in Texas, in Singapore, and in Chakan in India. So we have got 4 sites across the globe. And we then serve Tetra Pak with IT, both as IT service function. We have also a project function to deliver new solutions. So let's talk about why we have the cloud analytics platform. And what we ask our customers is, what if you could see the future? If you could avoid unexpected breakdowns at the dairies, if you wouldn't lose money while standing still, you wouldn't have to handle any type of waste. You can imagine that at the dairy, if you have several thousand liters of milk in tanks and the filling machine breaks down and you can't get it started, at a certain point in time, you have to throw away all the milk, clean and start over again. So unplanned breakdowns for our customers is costly. They don't have to worry about meeting their delivery agreements. Our customers, in turn, have their customers, and they have made promises in terms of deliveries. And not having to spend time on root cause analysis. So how can you see the future? Well, You can do it by using the predictive maintenance service from Tetra Pak. And this is about increasing uptime, reducing waste, and having less headache. So what we do is we collect data from the physical machines at the customer site. We monitor, and in the advanced cases, we predict failure for specific components within the equipment. So the collected data, we run algorithms on top of that data, and those are algorithms for the critical components in a machine. And by doing that, we can predict the failure of that component, and that gives us time to schedule maintenance. And we can then do the maintenance in a pre-scheduled maintenance window, and then we avoid an unplanned breakdown. So this is a filling machine and some examples of critical components, and you would then have algorithms per component that we monitor. And that gives us this scenario. So we have the equipment at customer site. So here we are out at the dairies. We have sensor kits that we mount on the machines. And we have an IoT solution that can move the data from the customer site into our cloud solution. We transform the data, we apply algorithms, and we expose outputs from the algorithms. Then we have a function we call Global Quality and Performance Management. They consume the outputs in Power BI reports. So they monitor these critical components. And then they take an informed decision and they schedule for a service engineer to go to the customer site. Preferably then in a pre-scheduled maintenance window where they can go and either check the part or they go and change the part. We then rely upon feedback from the service engineers for what they see when they check or change the part, and then we can close the loop and improve the performance of the algorithms. And remember, in the presentation about Tetra Pak, we talked about we have more than 8,000 filling machines around the world, more than 70,000 processing equipment around the world. Now, they might not all be cases where there is a value in monitoring, but we already have the physical presence around the world. So it's not a question about getting hardware out other than the sensor kits. We have lots of physical equipment in production around the world where we can harvest data. And this particular use case that's been driving the cloud analytics platform, we're already live across the world. So green dots are up and running. The yellow ones, we have kits on the way to be installed. But there is a global presence already now for this service. So the context of the platform originates from this use case. And that's why we established this cloud analytics platform. And this is the area that my team and I are focusing on. So we were asked to establish an IT service for the lifecycle management of the platform. And this use case has been the driving use case. But it's only one of many potential use cases. And the idea we want to capitalize on here is the fact that we can onboard data, we can transform the data, we collaborate with our data science center of excellence. We have close to 20 data scientists, and this is their primary area of execution. They receive business cases to look into different opportunities. It could be stock optimization, pricing, etc. And we then utilize this possibility of onboard data in the cloud, run algorithms on the data, transform the data, expose insights that can then be consumed by the business. In the first use case now, there is manual consumption because we are still learning, we're still training. But we're already looking into cases where the output of an algorithm, the insights, are consumed by a business process, by another system. So an insight triggers a business process in another system. In this use case, once we have an algorithm that we trust, there is no need for a manual decision to send a service engineer. We would have our maintenance scheduling system consume the insight from the cloud and automatically schedule for the service engineer to go to the customer site to change the part. So this is the use case where we have come the farthest. But the digitalization effort within Tetra Pak is really thriving. We're focusing a lot in this area, and it gives us a lot of new opportunities. So we talked before about our motto to protect what's good, and the way we used to look at the package, it's about protecting what's inside it. It communicates and it visualizes something. In the digital area, we can connect the packages. You can interact with the package, and we can personalize the package. So now we are moving on to the intelligent packaging platform. And at the moment, we are focusing on codifying every package to be able to connect to the package. So it's about putting a unique QR code on each package. Do you remember we sold 188 billion packages last year? So 188 billion unique QR codes potentially. So how does that relate to our platform? Well, in the Cloud Analytics platform, that's where we are going to manage the code generation. So we'll create the QR codes. And then if we look at what we can do in our value chain with the unique QR code. So this is Tetra Pak converting. That's where we create the packaging material. That's where we have the possibility to print the QR code. And if we start with the QR code over here, then we're able to follow our packages through the value chain. So it's about distributing the QR codes to be printed in the converting factory. And then we need to keep track of the packages as they travel through the value chain. So it's as they are scanned in different steps, we need to track this. If we relate production information from our customer sites to the QR codes in the cloud, then we enable track and trace. So a consumer can actually scan a package to find out about the content of the package. What am I really drinking milk? What's in the package? And we also enable interaction beyond our customers, because enabling consumers to scan the package means we can help our customers understand who their consumers are. And we will enable this via the Cloud Analytics platform. So we will manage the QR codes, and we will relate information in the cloud to the QR codes. And it can also help us in terms of quality management. If we have access in the cloud to supplier information, if we find a faulty package, we can scan the package, and we want to be able to trace back and understand the reasons for why we have a quality issue. We can relate the package to the settings of the filling machine as it was filled, or we can go even further back and understand what batch of paper was used when this was produced in our converting factory. So we see this as lots of opportunities, a very powerful way of capitalizing on the data to improve quality in the value chain. And I think most exciting is actually about what consumers can do with our packages, how we can help our customers connect with their consumers. And we have already run a number of promotion activities where consumers launch a new product, and they have the opportunity to run a digital campaign. Consumers can scan the packages, participate in a lottery or playing a game or something. And by scanning and logging in and participating, we can help our customers understand who are their consumers of this specific product. If they launch a new product, they can validate that their target audience was really those that consumed it. And then, as I mentioned before, the traceability, finding out what's in the package for the consumer, and then the industrial traceability for us, tracking in the value chain related to supply. Okay, so that's the context of the analytical platform. We had the main driving use case where we are live. We have these upcoming use cases with the QR codes, the collaboration with the Data Science Center of Excellence for multiple different use cases. But we now have the task to manage the platform. And we are a service delivery team. So our main focus is to establish service offerings, and that we can guarantee those service offerings under SLAs with our partners on the business side. And a typical one is data onboarding that I mentioned before. So we collaborate with the Data Science Center of Excellence. They receive a use case from the business, and they take a first shot at that to see whether is this something we can actually, is this something we can solve for the business? Is it possible to solve with algorithms? If it's possible, what type of data would we need? And then they will open a service request with us, requesting data. And then it's a collaboration between us, the data scientists, and subject matter experts on our side to locate the right data that is required by the data science side. And here, in many cases, we're looking for data in internal on-prem systems. Could be in SAP, local systems, sometimes in Excel sheets. We need to turn within the organization, collaborate with the owners of those systems to help us retrieve the data, and then we onboard the data in the cloud and make it available for the data science to continue their work. Sometimes they just want a snapshot of data. They have a hypothesis they want to prove, and then they're done. Other times, we need to establish incremental load of data, because those are ongoing transactions. One example is looking at supply chain data for stock level optimizations, where they're looking at controlling the stock levels. And obviously that would be a continuous load of data, monitoring stock levels and having the algorithm optimize that and recommend what levels to stay on. So our important task is to establish these service levels, and then act on any production issues or tickets that we get from our users, because we need to preserve our SLAs, live up to our commitments. But we want to be more than just a service delivery team, because we see that managing the cloud analytics platform, given the pace of change and how it's evolving, it's not really possible to have, as we have in our more traditional areas when we work with SAP and other solutions. We have a project team that delivers a project, schedules a handover or a few handover sessions, hand over the solution to service team, and the service team moves forward with that solution. Things are changing too quickly. Too much is happening. There is no chance of being able to manage those handovers in that way. So we staff the team beyond what we need to just manage the current SLAs and the production issues. To see that we have a pool of resources with the competence to deliver in the cloud analytics platform. So it means that we take on business initiatives and architecture initiatives as well, to evolve the platform. It's now a very new product for us. So from an architectural point of view, we have lots of things that we need to address to industrialize the platform, to make sure it's fit for purpose, that we can address the incoming business initiatives. And we have a lot of business initiatives coming in. As I said before, Tetra Pak is, we have high ambitions within digitalization. We work hard in this area to collaborate with our customers, to be a partner to a customer in the age of digitalization as well. And here we are then managing a pipeline of activities coming in, and we need to balance the business initiatives, not forgetting the architectural side, to make sure that we can stay healthy. So, working on ideas coming in that we qualify, that we prioritize, that we break down, and then we actually execute on those initiatives. And the ambition then is to get to service level agreements. We extend service offerings, or we create new service offerings in the platform that we can guarantee under our SLAs. In the digital world, this is actually, at least for us, there is so much change going on, and lots of ideas on the business side popping in. There are the big initiatives like predictive maintenance or the Unicore solution, and those are big. I mean, you don't miss those. So those we catch. But then lots of smaller initiatives where when people get to know about the cloud analytics platform, there are ideas about tools to be connected to harvest the data that's available. Most of the time, it's never as easy as just connecting, and so we need to be involved to guide and help out. But yeah, lots of interesting stuff happening. The idea here was to then, we have our incoming work, we prioritize, we look at our SLAs, and we want to then execute in a number of teams. We have our team in Lund up and running. We are looking at establishing team in India. And then we have some external teams that we collaborate with as well. And the original thought here was that the team has a split focus. So you take some responsibility for production issues, tickets coming in, and you spend time on new initiatives in the platform. And then we want this to be able to scale here as well. The external or more internal teams we've utilized in different ways. We actually have established a few Scrum teams that we've broken out. We have then put people with the same competence as we have in the central team sit in the Scrum teams. And then we guide them remote, so they become satellite teams working within very limited or scoped in areas, trying to keep the pace with the business. So we're trying that out. Another example of external teams is Tetra Pak ran a hackathon with a university in Germany. So we had Tetra Pak employees going to Germany, collaborating with students over 4 days in a hackathon. We brought business issues, and during the hackathon, there were different solutions created. We came back from the hackathon, evaluated those solutions. There were a few selected where they continued to develop. So we actually gave the task to the students under guidance from Tetra Pak, continue to evolve this solution. We had 2 weeks ago, we had the students come to Lund, and Jelena was collaborating with the students to actually implement the outcome of their work in the production version of the cloud analytics platform. And then we take over responsibility and we maintain it. So we're trying different ways of fast tracking, but for the majority of the work, we'd like to keep it inside a pool of resources that collaborate. But we are starting to hesitate on whether this split of work inside 2 teams is the right way to go. And wondering if we should split into service team and a project team and maybe rotate people between the teams. We're seeing with this split, there is a little bit of a concern that we don't have enough time to maintain our SLAs. We're still building up the service. We have to admit that there's some more documentation work to be done. There are some more routines to be looked at. There are improvement opportunities from a service perspective that we're under heavy load from business initiatives, and sometimes we forget those other areas. If we have, for a period of time, a team that focuses more on service activities, then we have the opportunity to address that area in a better way. Because for us to be successful, we need that structure inside the service. So those are vital deliverables, but they kind of fall away. Okay. So we talked a little bit about our context, how we work. And then I tried not to use so much text and just a few pictures here. We have, when we collaborate in this area, I think one thing we've found is that particularly when we collaborate with the data science community, we are together with the Data Science Center of Excellence looking for tools to help us manage the algorithms and the life cycle of them. Our responsibility is to deploy the algorithms in test and production to make sure they are fed with data. The data science responsibility is to ensure that the performance of the algorithm is okay. So the quality of the output, that responsibility remains with the Data Science Center of Excellence. But we help them with change management in the landscape. And we have looked at a lot of tools, but so far haven't found anything that fulfills the needs on both sides. It's also, if we look at the individuals within the community of data science, they come from very different backgrounds. Some are very much into statistics, not so skilled with software and programming, and others are hardcore programmers. But they're a community of 20 people, and we're trying to establish these procedures and ways of working. And it's quite a challenge, and there's not much to fall back on in terms of best practice. The chain of events or the long horizon of solutions is something else that I've thought about. If you remember, we have physical kits on the machines at the customer site. They capture sensors capturing vibration, heat, pressure. We collect those signals on the machine. Then there is an IoT solution that streams the data from the customer site into the cloud. And we take over. We make sure that we transform the data, we apply the algorithms, we expose the insights. Then comes the Quality and Performance Management Center. They consume the insights in the Power BI reports. They take a decision. They schedule for a service engineer to go to site. He in turn needs his tools, he needs spare parts, he goes to the customer site and he performs maintenance. We have extremely long chains of components and also teams and organizations that need to collaborate to make sure that the commercial service of predictive maintenance that we offer our customers actually holds together. And then, unfortunately, we're an old company. We have an organization, we have some history, maybe some politics, and the responsibilities falls into different organizations, and we need to collaborate across those organizations. And it's not always easy to solve. The organizations have different maturities in terms of thinking about service management, how you establish service level agreements, how you work with issues and service requests. So it's quite a challenge. And similarly in the unicorn scenario, where we have the code generation in the cloud, distribute them to the converting factory, we print them on the packaging material. The packaging material is then shipped to the customer site. It's filled, it's scanned in at the customer site. We receive the scan in the cloud. to acknowledge that the package has been filled. It goes to the retailer. It's bought by the consumer. They scan it on the mobile. We then acknowledge the scan in the cloud. And again, many different organizations, long chain of events. But in the end, we have sold to our customers the possibility of running digital campaigns, having consumers scan the packages. So we have very complex scenarios, and we each play a role in that scenario. And of course, it would be a lot easier if we said, oh, let's create an organization that sits across everything. But easier said than done. So that's a challenge for us. And sometimes we talk about the chains, and it's just about make sure the data moves from the customer side to the cloud to the QPMC so they can look at the output, they can schedule the service engineer. But it's not enough that the data just moves. What about the quality of the data? We are telling our customers we will guarantee your uptime. We have to make sure that what we feed the algorithms with is qualitative data. And then we're back in the long chain of events. What checks on data quality is done within the IoT solution? What checks do we do once we have the data in the cloud? What checks are done in the Power BI report consumed in the Performance Management Center? But this one also, in the speed and the need to deliver, this is a tough one to maintain and uphold. Money is, or rather forecasting the cost in the cloud. Because of the models we have in Azure of paying for storage, paying for computation, or paying for actually extracting data of the cloud, we have issues forecasting the cost, forecasting the consumption. And we get a long bill from Microsoft at the end of the month, and then we need to decide who pays for what. It's almost like Swedes having dinner, checking who had the fish and who had the wine and who had the meat. Trade-offs. So we said we have lots of initiatives ongoing, and there's the quick proof of concepts versus the heavy work to industrialize things. We talked about the business pipeline versus establishing the IT platform, keeping it fit for purpose. And then we have guaranteeing our SLAs by locking down the platform versus business agility and offering self-service for the business community. We have, beyond the Data Science Center of Excellence, we have other functions that would like to utilize the platform. And sometimes they want to go beyond just consuming in Power BI reports. They want to get further into the platform. But we need to make sure it's stable and maintain our SLAs. So how can we coexist? And finally, a quote I heard the other day: software is continuous. I think when we have a platform like this, we need to start thinking a little bit differently than we are used to at Tetra Pak, because we are thinking of traditionally of there are projects and they end, and then there's a deliverable and you maintain it in the service organization, and things don't change a lot after that. There's some continuous improvement, but not much. We see that there's so much happening in the cloud. New versions, new components, and then we have all the new business ideas. And it's not really a project, it's just a proof of concept they want to try out. And maybe it will become something or not. And I think maybe this is becoming more the reason for why we should keep this pool of resources together, that there is a continuous evolvement of the platform, whether we want it or not, because that's the nature of the cloud, and it's the nature of digitalization. And finally, some highlights. It's pretty exciting for us on the IT side that we are a core part of delivering this commercial offering of predictive maintenance to our customers. Traditionally in IT, we've been one step behind the business, but now we're actually a central part of the delivery to our customers. And we're also the back end for our service engineers to consume performance data in an app. We have, in the last year, ramped up our team. There were 5 of us starting the year. There is 11 of us now. We have 3 people in these satellite teams I talked about. We have 6 people coming in to do Unicore in next month, in December. And we have 2 people joining in India in December as well. So it's a rapid growth here and a little bit distributed. We have managed to establish ourselves as a go-to partner for new business initiatives. If you remember the Kanban pipeline, you saw all the ideas we have. And the business now comes to us and says, hey, we have an idea. Can we collaborate with you on the IT service side? And we actually have managed to do infrastructure improvements. We have established an enterprise data lake where all the data coming into the cloud ends up. We worked a lot on security enhancements. We actually have managed to move to certain PaaS services, so move up in the value chain, and managed to do some cost improvements inside the cloud by enhancing the infrastructure. So it's a very dynamic world. Sometimes the pace is almost too much, but it's a very exciting area to work with. And we've just got started with our cloud analytics platform, and we see we have many, many more use cases that we can implement and excel on in this area. Thank you.